For the next section, we want to look at the handout called Hebrew Syllables. This is also based on Ross Lesson 2. And here we just walk through some of the things that Ross says about Hebrew syllables in general. Now, first of all, one vowel in Hebrew is going to constitute one syllable. That is to say, when you're looking at a Hebrew word, if you want to know how many syllables a word has, all you need to do is count the number of vowels that you see, and you will have the number of syllables in the word. Okay? So the number of vowels equals the number of syllables. Let's take this word right here. This is the word davar. Davar. And this is the Hebrew word for word. Now, how many vowels do we see in davar here? There's a kametz followed by a kametz. This is a two-syllable word because it has two vowels. Okay? Now, over here, we have the word for the land. Ha-a-retz. Ha-a-retz. This is three vowels. Kametz, kametz, segol. And so three syllables. Now, this is a very important point now. You cannot have a syllable in Hebrew without a vowel. A syllable always has as its core at least a vowel. You can't have a syllable without a vowel. Now, there's one other very important rule to Hebrew syllable structure, and that is that every Hebrew syllable has at least one consonant to lead the vowel. That is to say, in Hebrew, syllables do not just have a vowel. That can happen in English. For example, in the word about. This letter A is able to form its own syllable in English. Not so in Hebrew. Every syllable not only must have a vowel, but it must have a consonant in front of that vowel or a consonant leading that vowel. Okay? So every vowel needs a consonant. Every syllable then has at least one consonant plus one vowel. Now, when we are looking at Hebrew syllables and thinking about their structure, we need to think in terms of then consonants and vowels. And we're going to let C equal consonant and V equal vowel. There are two ways to describe the kind of Hebrew syllable we're looking at. One is the word open. Some syllables are open. That is to say, a syllable that has only one consonant and then it's followed by one vowel, that is a consonant-vowel sequence, that is an open syllable. Let's look at a couple of examples here. We have this word with a lamed consonant followed by cholam vav. Cholam vav altogether is one vowel. So this is consonant vowel. Now in English, I'm going to put my CV from left to right because I'm thinking using these English letters in terms of English sequencing. Consonant followed by vowel. But remember in Hebrew, the letters are written from right to left. So lamed, cholam vav are the consonant vowel. But our point here is that there's nothing after the vowel. So this is an open syllable. Me is the consonant mem followed by the vowel kirik yod. Not just the vowel kirik, but kirik yod together constitutes one vowel. So this also is consonant vowel. That makes it open. And here I have a two-syllable word, gimel kametz, which is a consonant vowel, followed by lamed and kametz hey, which together form another vowel, a historically long vowel. So this is consonant vowel followed by consonant vowel. Both of these syllables then are open syllables. Now, a syllable could also be closed. A closed syllable has a consonant followed by a vowel, and then a consonant after the vowel where together they constitute one syllable. So, look at our examples here. Mate, this means dead. Mem, consonant. Sere, vowel. And tav is a closing consonant. It's a final consonant after the vowel. This, therefore, constitutes a closed syllable. Bosh has a beth for a consonant, a holum dot, which is the long O, remember the tone long O, and then sheen. So this is consonant, vowel, consonant. That is closed as well. That means ashamed. Dam is the word blood. So we have killing, dead, blood. Now you will learn that Hebrew is a violent language. Hebrew is a very violent language. There's all kinds of crazy violent things that happen. So we'll see a lot more of that. But anyhow, this is dalet, consonant, pathak, short A, vowel, mem, consonant. So that is closed. And then finally we have davar. Davar. Dalet, kametz. That is a consonant vowel. That is open, but the second syllable, beth, kametz, resh, is closed. Consonant, vowel, consonant. So the first syllable is open, second is closed. So if I were labeling these syllables, and I will be asking you to do this, how would we label these? I would label these with an O above the syllable. All of these would have O's for open. Over here, I would use a C for closed over these. But when I get to this last one, the first one is open and the second one is closed. And if I were dividing syllables, I would put a dividing line in between those two. Now, just a point here. Notice, historically long vowels, that is the vowel point plus the mater, they do constitute a complete vowel. Do not confuse the mater as a consonant. Thus, me, mem, followed by kyrikyod, consists of one consonant, the mem, and one vowel, the kyrikyod. This little dotted circle here is just a placeholder indicating that in the font there should be something that kyrikyod attaches to. That's not really a letter there. Let's look at rule number 3 here, or point number 3. This is a very important rule for Hebrew. We are going to make reference to this quite frequently as we analyze syllables. Every Hebrew consonant has a corresponding vowel or shava symbol, and we'll learn more about that in lesson 3, unless the consonant is the final letter. So every time we come to a Hebrew word, we're going to notice something about that Hebrew word. Every consonant in that Hebrew word will have a vowel point associated with it. Whether that vowel point represents a real vowel or whether it represents a shava symbol. A shava symbol is 2 dots below a consonant that represent the absence of a vowel sound. We'll learn about that later. Okay? The only consonant that will not require any kind of pointing under it is the final consonant. And this is going to be very important for how we can determine whether a consonant we're looking at is a mater or a real consonant. Remember, if it's a mater, it's not a consonant. It is a vowel symbol. All right? So let's take a look at A here. I have beit, sere, yod, tav. Again, you've already seen this word. It means house of. Is the yod that we see here in beit, is it a vowel? Is it a mater? Or is it a consonant? Well, does it have a vowel point or a shava below or beside it? Beit has a sere. Yod has nothing under it and nothing beside it. If it doesn't have anything below or beside it, it's a vowel. And it's forming part of the historically long vowel called sereyod. Vowels and maters do not have vowels under them. Okay? So if you look at beit, it looks like 3 consonants here. And our rule is that every consonant of a word has to have a vowel or shava aside from the final one. So if I think the yod is a consonant, then there has to be some pointing that associates with it, whether it's a real vowel or a shava symbol. Don't have it, so that yod must not be a consonant yod. It must be part of the historically long vowel sereyod. On the other hand, if you take a look at B, I have yod lamed dalet. Yeled. Yeled means boy or youth. Is the yod here a vowel, a mater yod, or is it a consonant yod? Is it a genuine consonant? Well, again, the question is, based on our important rule up here in number 3, every real consonant has to have a vowel or shiva associated with it in a word, aside from the last one. Does this yod have a vowel under it? The answer is yes, it has a segol. And since it has a vowel under it, then it must be a consonant, since only consonants can take vowel points. Vowels do not take vowel points under them. All right? So, this is a genuine consonant yod. This yod in Beit is not a consonant. It is actually a vowel marking yod. Now, point number 4 has to do with accent or stress. Standard accent or stress, or we will also refer to this as tone, in biblical Hebrew is comes standard on the final syllable. In other words, you should expect the stress, tone, or accent to be the final syllable of a word. That is where it ought to be. That's where you should expect it. If the accent is not on the final syllable, then there will be something to indicate that for us in our textbook. Okay? So, since the standard accent is on the final syllable, if a word's accent actually is there, then we will not see any marking. If the accent is elsewhere, then the accent or the tone will be indicated with a symbol in our Hebrew textbook. What we will see is this little symbol that looks like a circumflex turned sideways. And that will go over the consonant whose vowel is being stressed. So let's take this word rechev. Rechev. Standard accents on the end, on the final syllable, but if it's not on the final syllable, I'm going to see it marked with this symbol here, okay? And in this case, this is non-final stress, and so I've got the accent mark. Rechev. Rechev. Over here, eretz. Eretz. So the resh is the consonant whose vowel, segol, is being stressed. So I'm going to put that accent mark over the resh. And then the aleph has a segol that's being stressed, and so I'm going to put the accent mark over the aleph. Let me just make one point here, okay? So let's say that we have a word like we'll put the accent here, okay? So this is outside or toward outside, and it's pronounced chutza, chutza, chutza. Now, the shurik is the vowel, right? And it's technically the vowel that's being stressed. But I want you to notice what's happened here. Because shurik is not written below the consonant, it's written beside it. This is a situation where my accent mark is not going to go over the vowel. It's actually going to go over the consonant whose vowel is being stressed. And that's the important point. Most vowels go under the consonant that they associate with, and so the accent mark will usually go under both. But where they are not lined up, like this one is, remember the accent mark in Hebrew will go over the consonant whose vowel is being stressed. Okay, and in our English transliteration, whenever we have a non-final syllable being stressed, and so there's an accent mark here, we're going to see the accent mark over the vowel itself. So rechev, we don't put the accent mark over the R in rechev, like we did over the resh, but we put it over the vowel itself. Okay, so here in English, we do put the accent marks on the vowels. Rechev and eretz. The aleph is this apostrophe-looking transliteration symbol. The segol is the E, and since we're stressing the E, we put the accent over that, eretz. In this final handout from chapter 2, we're going to look at some rules for Hebrew syllables. We're not actually going to cover the entirety of this handout. What I really want to do is just focus on 2 important rules that at this stage in the game are important for you to commit to memory and to apply in your understanding of Hebrew syllables as we divide syllables and label them for things like whether they're open or closed and whether they are, what their tone is. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit here as well. But there are some consistent rules that Hebrew syllables will follow if you understand the nature of the rule of the syllable and whether it's stressed or not. Okay, so what I have here are three words. We're only going to focus on the first two, the word davar and eretz. Davar means word, eretz means land. Okay, and there are actually 5 rules here. We are only focusing on rules 1 and 2 in this particular lesson. What 1 and 4 are talking about are really tendencies or preferences that syllables have for how they occur. It's only 2 and 3, though, where we have requirements in the Hebrew language, and that's really where we want to focus, is on what does Hebrew require for these sorts of syllables. And so the numbers 2 and 3 here are also found above these 2 words. I've divided the words into their respective syllables, and I've put the numbers above these syllables to indicate that rule number 2 applies to this syllable here, the da of davar. Rule number 3 applies to the rets of eretz. And here are the rules. OPSRL is just a mnemonic device. It's an acronym. I'm using the mnemonic device, Old Preacher Sermons Are Long. As many of us, if we grew up attending church or visiting church once in a while, it always seemed like the older preachers had very long sermons. Anyhow, Old Preacher Sermons Are Long should help us remember the OPSRL. Now, what that really stands for is this rule: an open pretonic syllable requires a long vowel. An open pretonic syllable requires a long vowel. Well, what does it mean for something to be open and pretonic? Well, I think we understand the open part, don't we? An open syllable is a syllable that is characterized by consonant vowel, one consonant followed by a vowel. And here, da is an open syllable. It is one consonant, one vowel. Okay? What does pre-tonic mean? We don't really know that term yet, but I'm going to introduce you to it right now. If you look over here, I've got a little chart that represents a possible Hebrew word where we have, say, a stress on this syllable. Let's just imagine we've divided this long word into syllables. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's imagine a 4-syllable word, and let's say the tone or the stress is on the second to the last syllable. We can label the syllables for their tone based on their relationship to the actual stressed or toned syllable. We would put a T over the syllable that has the stress or the tone or the accent. Any syllable that comes after it is called the post-tonic syllable. The T stands for tonic. PT stands for pretonic. That means that if the tonic syllable is here, the syllable before it is pre-tonic. And any syllable that is 2 before the tone or the tonic syllable is called propretonic. Okay? So if we have one tonic syllable, any other syllable, whether it's the post-tonic syllable, the pre-tonic syllable, or the propretonic syllable, are going to be unaccented. Unaccented. So what we're dealing with in this first rule is an open pretonic syllable. So take a look at davar again. Where is the tone on the word davar? This is closed, right? This is open. And we said you should assume that the tone or the stress is always where? On the final syllable. So I would label this syllable as tonic, and so this syllable before it must be pre-tonic. And if it's open and pretonic, Hebrew requires open pretonic syllables to have what kind of a vowel? It's got to have a long vowel. So take a look at this symbol here. That was that ambiguous symbol that could either be a long A or a short O. Which one of those must it be if it's open and pretonic? Could it be a short O? No, absolutely not. It's got to be the long symbol, the long A. Okay? So that's one of the things that knowing this rule can help. It can help us with knowing the identity of our vowels. Now let's take a look at the second syllable. This is affectionately referred to as the cuss rule. The cuss rule. The letters cuss stand for a closed, unaccented syllable requires a short vowel. Closed, unaccented syllables, short, and of course it's a requirement. Now take a look at our syllable that's numbered as number 3. Here I have eretz, eretz. This syllable, is open, retz is closed. This syllable, has the accent mark on it, so it is tonic. It's the tone. I'll put the T there. And anything after the tone syllable is labeled post. Now, if something is not the tonic syllable, then by definition it is unstressed, because the tonic syllable is the stressed syllable. So this is a closed and, being post-tonic, unaccented syllable. Hebrew requires what kind of a vowel? It's got to be short. And sure enough, segol is a short E. Okay? So this is a requirement. Hebrew requires this to happen. Over and over and over again, we're going to see our syllables following these two rules, depending on whether they are open pretonic or closed and unaccented. So again, I want you to commit these two rules to memory. I've given you some memory devices to do it. You need to try to remember these words and how the numbered syllables relate to these, because they provide a wonderful example of these rules in play. In our final discussion for Chapter 2, I want to just point out that in Ross 2.8, you see this on page 40 in your textbook, he introduces you to the concept of a furtive pathak. Now you know that the pathak is a little short line underneath the consonant. That's a short A vowel. And the word furtive means sneaky. If you have learned that word in your vocabulary in the past, someone cast a furtive glance at someone or something. It's a sneaky one. And the furtive pathak is a pathak that sneaks in a place where it really doesn't belong. Let me give an example here. Let's take the word for Noah in the Hebrew Bible. It should be pronounced and written this way: Nun, Cholam, Chet. And as you see, that would be a one-syllable word that's closed. Consonant, vowel, consonant. Noach, Noach. But what happens here is very interesting. In order to pronounce the chet at the end of the syllable, Hebrew has to get the back of the throat involved. And guess what vowel is produced in the back of the throat? It's an A vowel. And so this little pathak sneaks in there and is pronounced in anticipation of producing the chet sound. In many printed texts, that pathak is just slightly to the right of under the consonant, the guttural. In some printed texts, it goes directly under it. But the reason for it being a little bit offset to the right where possible is to show you that the actual pronunciation of this is going to be no, and then the A vowel first, and then the chet. Noach. Noach. It's really not even a full A vowel. Rather, it's just a kind of a helper to get you to the guttural produced in the back of the throat. Noach. Noach. So what you cannot do is look at this sequence of consonants and vowels and think that that pathak goes after the chet in your pronunciation. It's not no ha. It's not no ha. It's noach. Noach. Now, it looks then like you have one vowel being followed by another, and that clearly violates the Hebrew rules. If you remember, we don't put vowels under vowels, so to speak. But the reality here is that I do not treat this as really a two-syllable word. It's still a one-syllable word, and the Furtive Pathak is not functioning as a true or genuine vowel. Okay? It's just being produced to help you get to that guttural consonant. So noch becomes noach. Another example is this word, which is the word for spirit or breath. It's ruach. Ruach. Not rucha, but ruach. So what do we have here? We have a one-syllable word, which should have just been ruch, but to pronounce the chet, the vowel sort of glides into an A vowel right before we produce that chet. So ruch becomes ruch, ruch. So I will represent the Furtive Pathak by a superscripted letter A here to indicate that it's not a true vowel and that we still have just one-syllable words here. And for that reason, when I'm asking you to divide words into syllables, if you come to a Furtive Pathak, you will not divide this. You won't even try to divide it. Just treat it like a one-syllable word if it indeed just has one long vowel followed by a Furtive Pathak. Okay, so don't divide that into two. The consonants that will typically get this Furtive Pathak are ayin, chet, and hey. When you have before these a long vowel, and then this comes at the end of the word, then you will see that Furtive Pathak sneak in. Okay? So that's when you should expect to see it.